Okay, now let's continue. We have this middle control here, and the thing about it, we can't really control it right now because the attributes are locked. So what we do, what we always do, when we have a problem, and now we put a group above it. So I'm going to create an empty group and call it spline2 group, and then I'm gonna get those connections. The outgoing connections, and feed them not into the control, but into the group. And now the group is actually at the right position, and we then parent the control under the group, and now the transform happens on the group level. And we can still transform the control. Actually, it's a good idea to do the same for those other controls, so they have like something like a rest position. So when we move those things around, we can zero them out and then get them back into their rest pose. So I'm going to create another group and another group. And I'm going to match the position. Oh, actually, then that's control 1. That's actually at the root, so we don't need to move it. And that's control 3. So we're going to move it there. And now we parent the control to the group. So let's sort this a little bit. 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. So these are now my input controls. I can move them. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is create a second IKSpline, a second MuscleSpline, and on the second MuscleSpline I will then put my joints or transforms that I want to have constrained to the IKSpline. Alright, so yeah, let's clean this, and actually let's take this guy and simply duplicate it, because then we should have elements on our array attributes. So now we're going to take our controls, move them here, so 1, 2, 3, and they're supposed to go now into the control data attribute. So let's see if we get that. We need the world matrix. Where is it? There. And yeah, I think we don't have the right one. This is the shape node, so this is actually where the interesting attributes are. So let's do this again. World matrix. To control data. Insert matrix. So that's cool. Now actually we have the second element here. So we can just open this, and then now we can actually select it like this and that. And with a little bit of luck, no, we don't get a third element. Alright, so then we'll need to resort to scripting again. Now we need to make sure that we have the correct names here. So what's the name of this thing? That's the name. I'm gonna copy it just to make sure I get the spelling right. And it's locator 3, spline. No, actually it's spline C03. World matrix goes into control data 2. That's the third element. Insert matrix. So there we go. Now we have those 3 elements, and now we want to connect our joints to them. So I don't really like the create joints tool, but yeah, do it any way you want. I usually create my joints like this, because then I get a simple, nice joint at the origin, and I know all orientations are zeroed out. So I'm gonna use this, call this thing now spline C01 joint, and I want to have 7 of them. So I'm gonna duplicate it 6 times. And I know the naming is now a little off. By the way, the naming convention I use here is from N-Gear. C means center. If we would make it like for left side, there would be an L here. And right side an R. And I don't know, I just got used to it and I think it's useful. So I'm just going to use this naming convention here, but feel free to do it any other way you like. Okay, now we want to connect this to the output data, and we only have 1 element right now, so we could connect at least this here, out translate to translate, out rotate to rotate, and you see now we have those 2 lines, connect rotate, connect translate. And because I'm so lazy, I'm going to copy that now into a ML tab. And I'm going to change this here to 0, this to 2. This is now a bit manual, but at least easier than connecting them by hand. And those of you who know scripting know there are better ways to do this, but I'm trying to, you know, be gentle here on the scripting end. So people who are really not into scripting or don't really want to go into scripting can find this accessible as well, so bear with me. So theoretically I now have 7 joints connected here. And I think the first one is actually in the middle now, because that has still the old value. We now need to set the correct values so that they are evenly distributed. So again, so what I like then here is put them in the correct order. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now for each of them, we're going to create this uValue attribute again. So here's the attribute name. And here you can see I got the proper code. So add attribute, that's the command to add an attribute. The long name is uValue. The attribute type is double. That's like a like a float. You know, if you don't, if you have values like 0.57 or something like that, that would be a double or a float. Minimum value is 0, maximum value is 1, default value is 0, and the name of the node that is supposed to get the attribute is spline CO1. And then we edit the attribute to make it visible in the channel box. So what I can do now, because I'm so lazy, I've created this for one joint. Now I can just tweak the names a little bit and execute those lines. Okay, now let's check. Yeah, now all these attributes, they have a uValue attribute. Now that's pretty cool. Now we need to connect the uValue attribute. So I'm going to take here uValue and connect it with read data, read mu. Okay. So again, now we have one line. And since we have so many to connect, I'm just going to do the same method here again. So that worked, and so I'm just going to repeat it for all the other elements as well. See, I'm just increasing by 1. Okay. So here we can see here now these connections. This is actually good. And now we can check if that actually works now by setting the uValue here. I like to use the virtual slider. So I select the attribute here with the left mouse button, and then here with the middle mouse button I drag left and right. And as you can see, this actually works. So now we just need to find out what each of these nodes needs as a value. So the last one should have 7, should have 1 because it's at the end. The first one should have 0. The one in the middle should be 0.5. So these are the easy ones, and now we actually need to do some math to figure out, yeah, what kind of values do these guys need. So let's try some Python. Print 1 divided by 7. So 1.4. Okay, now I'm gonna do a little script here. My increment is 1 divided by 7. So now I'm gonna do a loop for e in range 7 because I have 7 elements, and that basically gives like 7 elements, and we're going to repeat this process, and each time we repeat the process we get a new value in the variable I. So at first we get 0, then we get 1, then we get 3, and so forth until element 6. I'm just going to demonstrate it here. You see, starting with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 7 iterations. And now I'm going to do increment times I. And I'm going to test what kind of values I get. That was wrong because I want to multiply by 1. So we're starting at 0, then we get 0.14, 0.28. That one isn't right. So that somehow my math doesn't add up because the last one should be 1. Okay. Okay, so now I'm gonna try this. Do the increment by 7. 1 divided by 8, and as you can see now that doesn't work. So actually I'm gonna do it divided 1 by 6, and oh, that works now. Cool. So we needed to subtract 1 element because we have like 6 parts here, and for each one we then increment by 0.1666, and so these are then the values we would need to put into our joint. So I'm going to take these. Okay, now let's test this. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. And can we now actually move this thing here? Yep. So we have now this nice spline that has a really nice arc to it and a really nice interpolation. And we actually can transform the control in the middle, and we still get a very nice interpolation. And we have then 7 elements on the spline. Usually that's enough. I mean, sometimes you need less, like for a human head, a human neck, maybe 3 elements are fine. Maybe you need more because you have this crazy tentacle creature rig, but doesn't matter how many elements you have, the method then is the same. As you saw, scripting is actually not that hard if you haven't delved into it yet. I've tried to keep it here really simple, but give you an idea how it already helps you with really simple tasks and saving a lot of time, especially with things that you need to repeat often. Okay, so this works now. We're gonna do some cleanup now. Maybe put these here into a group. Spline group. Put these into a group. Put the controls into a group. Group the groups. Okay, and now can we move this? We get this double transformation here. What we probably want to do is this guy gets this information in world space. So if we now move this spline around, we don't want it to get to inherit the parent transform. So what we're going to do is here inherit transform off. Okay, what happens now if we move it around? We still get double information transformation because the joints here get the same thing. Or where do we need to turn it off? Yeah, we need to turn it off here. And I guess where are the joints? Yeah, basically almost all need to have their inherit transform attribute set to off. Then we can move this thing around. Okay, I'm gonna put it back to the origin. And the cool thing now is that we've built one. Probably be a good idea to save that somewhere. And if at some point we need more of these, we can duplicate them. So edit, duplicate special, and I'm gonna set an attribute here, duplicate input graph. This means not only duplicate all those nodes involved, but duplicate the connections as well. So now we can move this thing around. As you can see, the spline still works, right? So if you have like multiple elements, like a neck or tail and a spine, you can just create one of these guys and then duplicate them this way. Yeah, I think rigging this way gives you a better understanding instead of using like a procedural rig system. And yeah, the more you work with these things, you get better understanding and maybe become more creative in finding your own solutions and understanding and fixing problems if you encounter any. Yeah, and I hope this taught you a little bit and showed you a way to create a nice IKSpline. Alright, thank you very much. Bye.